without having to like cross over too much. Technology, we're getting this. Hey y'all, welcome to this week's Bonnet Chronicles. I am your host, Kalari Gamer Chick. I just put the word out, as you seen, I was getting excited about that. That we're live. Let's see. Today's topic, yet again, another one that needs to be talked about because some people are really out of pocket this week. They've been out of pocket, but this week has been a little bit extra. I also want to thank everybody who came to the birthday Tiara Chronicles and who have been really supportive of this show and everything I did. All the birthday love, I thank y'all so much. As you know, life has come at me really fast. Axiom is now living here, so you'll probably hear and see a lot more of him as we do these casts and stuff. And he's about to leave, and you're a mess, sir. We're also gonna launch our Gen X Cynics cast, where we talk about movies, games, and fun geek culture stuff, including the times before geek culture was even a thing. So I really enjoy the fact that so many of you like hearing us. I've also been doing a mental health topic on YouTube now, and I've been doing a bit of commentary on a weird drama that's ongoing on YouTube. So if you're interested in any of that, I think my YouTube links are below. If not, I'll fix it. I'm still learning all this stuff. But to get to the heart of the situation, what really set me off this week, besides the blacks trending on Twitter, which I get my old lady face when I see stuff like that, but I can't help but feel like, why are we still going through all of this? And when are we going to get our stuff together? But this video
Essentially, you
really
have
hit my nerves.
registered
I'm going to
nurses.
play it for y'all. And it's this old
And
man. I'm not going to play all of
we
it because
have
the stuff he says
data on
is
fairly large numbers of
unmitigated
registered
BS.
nurses, black and white. And the
And
difference
he's
in
talking about
mean
nurses.
IQ between the two of those is a dozen IQ points, which
And
is
he talks about
a
IQ
lot.
points.
It does mean you have a difference in job performance, and that's eventually going to be reflected in income as well. It's going to be reflected in the
That's
nature
enough of that. I'm going to tell you right now, part of the issues I have with especially old white men who push eugenics, and thank you, respect is earned. And welcome to the chat, and hey, honey. But seriously, the problem I have with people pushing eugenics is it's been debunked over and over again. And as people in my family who are nurses, who have been administrative nurses, and thank you for the subscribes, hi Anna. I hope you had a good day. I know you've been working hard. Thank you so much, Diana. I gotta work on the shout outs too. I still haven't even got my Nightbot or any of those programs working yet. But the problem I see with people who use eugenics, especially, it's wrong. Somebody's skin color doesn't make them less or more predisposed to learning. The whole idea that IQ points matter in this day and age, when IQ tests have been inherently shown to be not only racist but out of touch with most people. I just get so frustrated that Fox News has this ability to spread this garbage to people and get innocent people wrapped up in this hateful thinking. And okay, I didn't know I was that low. Hopefully, yeah, let's get this microphone up. Hopefully this helps.
Yeah, I'm hooking up to see if I can.
Okay. It's just I feel like I'm loud sometimes, so I don't want to be too loud and have the microphone up too loud. So if I'm low, let me know though. I'll try to be a bit more boisterous. I just feel like this thing with Fox News hurts us all, because even when we don't personally believe in the crap that they spew, we have people we love that are ingesting this stuff. And the problem with telling people that the difference between black and white nurses is IQ points is, every single nurse that I've ever personally had to come across, because I've been in and out of hospitals for health reasons, have worked their ass off. And it doesn't matter what color they are there to do their jobs and work hard. And the last thing we need during a freaking pandemic are people spreading such racist information that not only keeps people from utilizing black healthcare professionals or any healthcare professionals of color. It is exactly respect. It is so ridiculous the amount of people who see that this is garbage and we speak up about it being garbage, but there are so many people absorbing it and they get into hospitals, whether they get infected by the virus that shall not be named or some health problems, and they bring that prejudice that they get from Tuckhead Carlson into an already stressed out hospital. And I seen the funny TikToks, and I say funny ironically because I don't think it's funny racism at all, where a whole bunch of black healthcare professionals have to walk away from a room because the white patient doesn't want anybody black bothering them. And it was a whole line of doctors and nurses and healthcare professionals that felt disrespected. These people went to school. They worked their asses off so that they could care for other people, only to have some bigot who's ingested Fox News tell them they're not good enough. And it just bothers me that we keep allowing this. And exactly, a lot of hospital visits are sadly unvaccinated people who are getting their information from this propaganda network. And the thing that bothers me about Fox News is it loves to push that it's this patriotic American channel when it's owned by the Saudis, because Rupert Murdoch sold them to the Saudis. They push this whole lean of us versus them, and if you're on the side of them right now, you're ingesting lies. And a lot of the stuff they lie about, and welcome to the chat, Beanie, is easily verifiable lies. And it's just so frustrating. It's so insulting to so many of us that they keep doing this. And a lot of people are spreading misinformation, whether it is Fox News or even some of our favorites are MSNBC. I tell people all the time, about 3 years ago, after the third or fourth time I seen them try the both sides situation, and well after the 2016 nightmare, I got tired of MSNBC's nonsense too. And instead of getting upset about Morning Joe and Mika, instead of getting mad at Joy Reid every once in a while when she has Grimace on there, instead of getting pissed off at people who they're not holding a gun to my head to watch this show, I stopped giving them the views. I stopped giving them the ratings. Why? Because I felt like they weren't being the unbiased people they said they were being. They were making things up as they go along. They were trying to normalize an abnormal situation. And even when they were saying things I agreed with, I had to check myself on that too, because we get into a weird in between where we only want to hear news that makes us feel like we're verified or right. And I just want something that's true. I want the facts. I don't care if you add your opinion towards the end. I don't care if you throw in some shade, like sometimes Brian Williams used to do that. I hear he still does. But keep the facts on the table. That's all I want out of news now. And every network, whether it's MSNBC, CNN, or the Fox Propaganda Network, as I like to call them, pull this where you get these pundits that make their opinion sound like they're facts. You get a lot of hyperbolic arguments. And I just, thank you, Beanies, for real. I just get tired of seeing us amplifying these people who, right now, we're only 6 months into this new year, new administration, and they act like the sky is falling in one breath. It's to dem the railroad down towards the hate mob, or to do something. And they're not doing anything themselves. And between those three groups, you have bigots just thinking that they can get away with whatever because we're all busy fighting between ourselves over what's not being done in 6 months. I don't understand the whole 6 months thing either. My thing is, I get that people get frustrated after 4 years of being down in the trenches and worrying every night before I went to bed if we were going to wake up to some kind of weird fuckery. I get being tense. I get wanting to see people perp walk, but that's not how that works. But what bothers me is how many people are letting stuff slide that if we don't get a check on it, it's going to be out of control. There's a lot of anti-Semitism going on. There's a lot of racism going on. There's been misogyny going on. And there's a lot of anti-trans and anti-LGBT stuff going on. And when we're fighting with the do something types that we don't got to amplify them, when we're trending stuff like the blacks, we're ignoring the fact that people are still having debates on whether critical race theory should be taught in schools, which I'm team anything that teaches people not to be racist is a good thing. But nobody's asking for critical race theory to be put in schools. And let me adjust this and get that chat over, because I'm noticing that the chat was all over to the side. And what I like about how everybody interacts in my chat is, y'all right. I love reading what you's write. But the thing that I think people don't understand is, I get the fact that we're shell-shocked. We came out of a very bad situation, and it's hard to see the good that keeps on happening. But while we're worrying and still stressing over the what nots and what ifs, there are people being bold with their bigotry. And they think they can get away with it because they have for years. Yeah, that was funny. I think the problem with bigotry is it's so normalized. And that's why I tell people, I've even catched myself saying and doing things that I know now is not okay. Things that were normalized when we were younger, especially if you're from a certain generation, it's not okay. And it is okay to realize that, yeah, I had a past where I might have laughed at certain jokes, or I might have made certain comments. I'm not that person anymore. And that's what you've got to do. You've got to work harder to be better people. But you can't be afraid to call that stuff out either, because one of the arguments, and I can't stand it, but they do it all the time, that bigots, especially racists like the poll is, you're playing a card. You're playing the race card. Why is it always about race? It's my life. And I've literally had people try to murder me for the color of my skin. So it's always going to be about race, because you literally hate me for something I can't change about myself. So yes, it is about race. And yes, if I see something racist, if I see something homophobic, if I see something ableist, if I see something anti-Semitic or even anti-Palestinian, I'm going to call it out, because equality means just that. And I think people exactly respect. People act like you're not allowed to make mistakes or stumble or have moments that of dumb, as I like to call them. But I think a lot of people act like you can't get better, that there's absolutely no redemption. And exactly, Beans, I feel that so much. I've lost friendships for calling that. I try to wrap my mind around this story, because to me, every time I replay it, it makes no sense. There was a nickname for Lindsey Graham going around social media. I will not repeat the nickname, because to me as a straight woman, it's not my place to say stuff like that. And I made it clear that I've seen way too many people that I know are straight. They are in straight relationships. They have declared themselves as straight people using that term for Lindsey Graham. I was not okay with that. And I made it clear on Twitter that if you are a straight person, not LGBT, because that's not my lane, but if you are a straight person using that slur for Senator Graham, no matter how you feel about him, because I lived in South Carolina briefly when my son was first born. We lived there for about 3 years. I do not like Lindsey Graham. I am not. Welcome to the chat, Dame Perez. I am not a fan of Lindsey Graham. Do not like the man. But it is not my lane to be calling him a homophobic slur. So I made it clear to my followers, if you're a straight person, I'm going to call your ass out if I see you using that term. A friend of mine who I thought was a friend, we used to talk in DMs and I really liked her. She is openly lesbian or bisexual. I'm not sure what her exact orientation. She's declared LGBT. Got mad at me for saying that because she felt Lindsey Graham was evil and did so much to hurt LGBT, which I was not arguing that. I can never argue that. A is not my lane. B is pretty verifiable, the damage he's done to the community. What I was saying was that straight people should not use that terminology. It is not okay because they will take it and use it to somebody who they shouldn't call slurs. When you say you don't want people, matter of fact, when you say people can say that about Lindsey Graham because you don't personally like him, what's going to happen when they use it against you? That was my whole line to her, and I guess it was a line too far because she blocked me, and after that I blocked her, and we haven't talked in almost a year, and it hurt because I couldn't wrap my mind around why she was so upset with me. I wasn't telling her that she couldn't call him that name. I was just saying that for me as a straight woman, there's lanes you shouldn't cross over. And when you start feeling comfy with a level of bigotry, whether it's a nickname for an alleged homosexual man who, last I checked, Senator Graham has not outed himself, and whether or not he does or doesn't, that's his business. We who are not in that community do not get to call slurs. And it's just like my community. There is a line for me with slurs that I will not cross. I do not like the N-word. I do not think it empowers us. It was a word used to dehumanize us. So I don't use it. And when I slip, like I got mad at, I forget which coon it was. I think it was Daniel, what's-his-face from Kentucky. And I used the N-word. And I felt my soul just going, oh girl, no. And I know some black people are like, that's your right to use it. That's our word. That's not my word. I don't use it. I can't stop other black people from feeling they're empowered by it because I'm not the queen of black people. We're not a monolith. I'm not in charge of black people. I just know for myself, using a slur goes against everything that I'm trying to do for myself, which is be a better person. But the problem with giving people a pass to say certain things and act in a certain way is that it opens the door to, oh, thank you, sweetie, opens the door to people using it whenever they feel like it. And that is the problem with, having stances online. I tend to act like I know a lot of stuff, but I'm learning like everybody else. And I think the issue I have with people who play the game of, I'm down for this, but I'm not really, the fake ass fuckery, is that when you start having acceptable forms of bigotry, like, oh, it's just an anti-Semitic joke between friends. I've seen a YouTuber who's very popular, and I don't use their names because to me, these people like Beetlejuice. You say their names too much, they show up. And I don't want any of that beef or drama with any of them. But she's very popular for whatever reason. And she made a lot of anti-Semitic comments, even though she's marrying into a Jewish family. And her reasoning was, it's just a joke between me and the Jewish person. And when they told me they were uncomfortable, I stopped. And it's like, why did you feel comfortable saying anti-Semitic things to a Jewish person in the first place? It's like, that is weird. Don't do that stuff. You might think it's funny, but when you're the constant punchline and the jokes are often to make fun of who you are, it's not funny. And it shouldn't take a Jewish person or a black person or a native person or an Asian person, Southeast or any of the can't say the word, disambiguations. Either way, it shouldn't take a functioning brain. Aw, thank you, honey, for the gift subs, and welcome to the chat, Zoe. I feel like too many people exactly normalize that, and it's always just a joke to people who aren't the punchline. And it bothers me exactly. Along with the people who don't. Thank you for the subscribe, Jazz Fresh. It kills me the people who always are talking about it being a joke, or the ones who don't see color, or the ones who have the gay best friends. My friends are my friends. One of the things that I've said from any angle online is, once you start categorizing your friends, are you really seeing them as your friends, or are you going to use them as some form of shield? My friends are my friends. It's not because of their orientation. It's not because of their skin color. It's because they can put up with the fact that I am very antisocial. I am very much like a cat. I love being around people, but when I'm tired of y'all, I need my space. And I love that I've found so many people that get that and that understand that. And welcome, hey, Zombie Doll. I like that people understand that, and that so many of you are like that too. And I get that you get defensive, especially when on social media it doesn't take much to have a misunderstanding. Somebody might just read something you put out there wrong and accuse you of being a bigot. So I know that it's like a minefield. But when you're defending yourself, all I say to people is, if you feel I'm racist, that's on you. I never drag out my relationships or my friendships as a defense of what people think of me. There are always going to be people who think the way they want of you. And if you know you're not racist or a bigot and you're doing your best, don't get defensive. For me, I just stopped caring about somebody trying to get my goat, because there are so many people, exactly, Zombie Doll. There are so many people that love pushing that button. They absolutely want you to get mad at them and go on to the defensive. And so many people have to list all the stuff they've done for people, which drives me nuts. If you consider yourself an ally, you're doing it whether you get recognition or not. So maybe next time you see a person of color or somebody in the LGBT plus community, Q plus community, talking about something, and your feeling is to get defensive and need to defend your demographic, don't. Because for every not all you feel you need to get out, there's enough of you. Because if there wasn't enough of you, we wouldn't be having these issues. And nobody in society is immune from toxicity when it comes to hatred. Black people can be bigots. White people can be bigots. Asian people can be bigots. Everybody has a level of prejudice that we have learned that we need to unlearn. And if you're working to unlearn it, whether some rando on Twitter or Facebook believes, it doesn't matter. I think a lot of us have this indoctrination to prove ourselves to people, because we're raised from the get-go to have friends. You got to impress your peers. It's always about impressing people. And one of the things I like about my mental health issues, and thank you for the follow, one of the things I like about my mental health issues that some people might see as a negative is, as a diagnosed sociopath, I just don't care. I have gotten to the point in my life that I am okay with saying that whatever you think of me is what you think of me. I might get a little bit embarrassed when people try to put me on a pedestal, because I don't like being likened as a saint or anything like that. I just speak my mind and go by what I learned in life. I don't feel like I need so many props for just saying common sense stuff. I think the problem is there's not enough people amplified that say common sense stuff, because we're out there. So many of you are in the chat saying amazing things. So I know I'm not the only one in this. But I think a lot of people are taught that you have to have people that agree with you. You have to have that echo chamber, and you have to weigh what people think about you without realizing that at the end of the day, The only person that should value you is you. If you have a high enough value of yourself, if you know your self-worth, it doesn't matter who accuses you of being a bigot. It doesn't matter what people think of your appearance or anything that you might get a bit self-conscious about. Once you exactly zombie doll, team neurodiversity for real. I feel like the exactly respect the common sense people are constantly drowned out by the people with agendas. They want us to stay self-conscious and worry about what people think or say about us because that gives them power. When they can welcome G. Feldman for real, neurodiversity. We didn't have that when we were younger. People didn't understand things about us back then, and so many of us was pressured into things. And I am so glad we're in a time now where people are more understanding of this mindset and the way we function in society, because it was exhausting trying to make myself fit in when I couldn't understand a lot of stuff. And still a lot of social norms exhaust me. And it's just so frustrating that when you see stuff that to me has more simple answers to it, like this person talked shit about me. Do you think the shit they said about you is real? No? Keep it moving. They're talking about you. Like I say to people all the time, the hate followers and the hate watchers, thanks for the views. I don't know if you thought you were going to take me down a peg in a comment. You're not. I don't care. And I like the fact that I don't care, because for years, because I was twisted on, I have to be an acceptable person, I have to be liked by my peers, that literally made me so depressed all the time. And I realize now that no matter what people say, I like who I am as a person now. I really love who I am as a person most days. Even when I'm manic, even when I'm feeling low, it's not coming from a place of, I hate what I see in the mirror anymore. I love my skin tone. I love my natural hair. I am learning to love everything about me that I was told through the years wouldn't get me further in my career, wouldn't get me friends, wouldn't get me a relationship that was genuine. There was so much that they tell little black girls that I know is not true now, because I'm a black woman and I have survived 44 years despite all the hate people try to put on my shoulders. And when I give these talks, I just want other people who have lived this life, whether you're a black person, whether you're a white person, understand that you're still learning, you're still growing. And don't nobody have any power over how you carry yourself if you don't give it to them. Don't let strangers devalue you. Don't let anybody tell you that you're worthless, that you aren't talented, that you don't have something going for you. Especially if you know you do. And your talent might not be something that can make you millions of dollars. I don't think we should be setting out to worrying about millions of dollars anyway. If you're happy, that's what matters. And it's hard to be happy in a society that normalizes bigotry. Exactly. That is my motto, Beans. One of the things that I love about that is when you're happy and these haters want you to be miserable. That makes them miserable. They can't get at you with their nonsense. Welcome to the, thank you for the subscribe, Dane Perez. For real though, they can't get at you with their nastiness. They can't get at you with their closed-minded views. They can't get at you with their weird beliefs. I shut people down all the time with their nonsense. Because as somebody who likes standing up for people, I've seen all their arguments. Like, oh, you support this? Well, good luck getting into heaven. And it's like, well, if heaven's full of people like you, I don't want to be there. But I know it's not going to be, so I'm not really worried about it. If your argument is I need to be a bigot like you so that in the afterlife I need to spend time with people like you, you're not selling me on your religion, my dude. Just not. I've spent my whole life surrounded by hateful people. You're not selling me on an afterlife surrounded by the same hateful people. And I tell people that all the time. I don't like folks that do that because I feel like it spits in the face of what faith is supposed to be. Faith is a guideline. It keeps you from, like, my faith keeps me from going a bit too much in my head because I'm constantly in my head thinking about the what ifs of life. And I know I'm not alone on this because a lot of us do this. We're constantly like, well, why are we here? That is one of the questions that I go through a lot, especially when I'm low. And what gives me pause and what keeps me on the path of not doing anything seriously wrong is my spirituality. But I use my spirituality to guide myself, not to shun people, not to tell people that their lifestyles are wrong, not to tell people that their identities are wrong. And I think too many people preach hate from the pulpit, and that doesn't help. Because if you're in the pews and your pastor or your priest or your rabbi or your shah are telling you that it's okay to not respect or accept somebody who's different, they're not guiding you by faith. They're guiding you by their twisted opinions. And I want people to love their faith. I want faith to be an open door for anybody who wants to embrace it. But if it keeps up with this country club mentality that only accepts the people that fit into the package, they're going to lose more people to it. Oh, it's easier to walk away from a pew for me as an ex-evangelical than it is to sit there and listen to stuff that I know isn't right, just to get into some paradise that would allow these people to continue to gossip behind people's back, to continue to disparage people. I don't want that. And I don't know anybody who should. And exactly, the thing that bothered me about people attacking Biden's faith is he doesn't wear his faith on his sleeve, but he is a man of faith. I like the fact that he said, yes, I am a devout Catholic, but I am also President of the United States. And I think people need to understand that you can be both. You can be a scientist who happens to be Christian, Muslim, or Jewish. There's plenty of them. You can be a scientist who's atheist. We need to just respect we found what works for us and let people find what works for them. But the problem with our society is too many people want us all to be alike, whether we want to be or not. They want us to assimilate, yet they swear they believe in individuality and nonconformity. They wear these terms like it's cool, and it gives me a headache. That's why when people ask me to label myself, it's like, no, I don't need to label. If you can't tell by listening to me or looking at me what I am or what you see is what you get, I don't know how to help you. And I get that some people find comfort in putting that stuff on them. I don't step on people's toes in what works for them. But I'm getting really tired of people telling me how to live this life. This is my life to live. And I think if we learn and teach our kids especially to just respect things, respect people who are different, even if you don't know or understand it, you don't have to hate something just because you don't know and understand it. I tell people, I don't care if you hate me. I'd like it if you let me give you a reason, because I'm sure I can. I am a very bitchy person when I'm aggravated. I can give you a reason to hate me. But most people who get around me for even a few minutes, even though I like to be quiet when I first meet people face to face, I like to really intake the situation before I have any kind of one-on-one or face-to-face conversations. And Axiom can attest, a lot of people, even in public, will talk at me. Within the first 5 minutes, sometimes, people will tell me their entire life. It has been a weird thing, but I'm used to it. And the whole thing about that is, I just let people get to know me. And if you get to know me and don't like me, I'm fine with that. But the people out there that just hate because they look and they see a black woman talking, I just want to know, where's that gotten you? Because some of the bigots that I've seen in life are so angry and so exhausted looking. And they age like bad milk, for real. And that's like chocolate milk happens, people, and that ages and spoils too. And some of the oldest, blackest bigots out there, I'm related to quite a few of them. That melanin does crack when you're basing your whole life on hateful stuff. So believe me, black can crack when you're a bigot. People ask me why I glow at my age. I don't know. I don't put a lot of harsh stuff on my face. And B, I just don't hate people. I might have annoyances and I might joke around, like I have an irrational dislike of Leonardo DiCaprio. And I can see axiom about the type. Yeah, she hates Leo. I can't stand him. But I don't hate him. I just don't have enough energy for hate. If I don't like a person, whether they've done me wrong or anything else, my whole personality is to cut them off. Shut that door and don't open it up again. And if I open it up again, they better have daggone good reason. Because if I give you more than one chance to mess up with me, that's it. And I gave plenty of people in my life at least 3 chances. And after the last time that I got burnt, that was it. That was enough touching the stove for me to know that this person wasn't going to change. That this person was going to be who they are, and that I need to cut them off and keep my life moving. And I think a lot of people don't know how to do that. They don't know how to let go of harmful people in their life and toxic people in their lives, because a lot of them can't just close that door. And I understand that too. But if the person in your life is saying something about you, beating you because you're gay, or attacking you because you're a different color than them, it is okay to distance yourself. It is okay not to argue with them. You cannot change a person like that. The best way to fight bigotry, and I've learned this myself, is to just be a better person. That is the best way to do anything in life. I used to think, and I used to be one of the proponents of this. So if you dig up my old tweet saying this, congratulations. I used to tell white people all the time, it's on you to collect your cousins. And I still have friends who think they need to go around collecting white people. You're not going to change those people's minds. A lot of them are just trolls trying to get a rise out of us. The best thing we can do in the face of hate and bigotry is be better than it. And constantly be learning. And realize that even if you step in it a little bit, because we are old, we have said and done some things that we know now is not okay, but it's not easy not to repeat a certain phrase or say a certain thing. But when somebody tells you that what you did hurt them, instead of being defensive about it, reflect. A lot of times when people pause and reflect, they realize, do I really want to sour a friendship or a relationship with somebody because I can't let go of something that was normal to me? I see so many good people that do that, especially at my age and older. We tend to get in our feelings about, well, this is how it's always been. But it's not how it's always going to be. And if somebody tells me that, 10, something you really said, like a few weeks ago, we were making fun of 45. And I thought something that was said was really funny. I still kind of do. I'm human. Making fun of Donald Trump is fun for me, but I need to watch what I amplify. Because I can't say that I'm standing up for disability, people on disability, and then start spreading ableist stuff. And especially since I went after hard somebody who trended something very harmful and ableist. So, yeah, exactly, Beans. It is, how can I do better? And realize that, yes, I'm human, I'm going to fuck up. But if I fuck up, I need to not be defensive when I hurt somebody. Because it's okay to apologize when I hurt somebody. Oh my gosh, with that pun. That pun emote. I see it now even when I'm not using it, you. But for real, I think it's hard for some of us to navigate the news now because we came from an old place, a time where bigotry was really normalized. My grandparents went through Jim Crow. My great grandparents were slaves. And I know a lot of people think that we're so far removed from that history in America, but we're not. I could trace my great grandfather to those kids that were separated from their tribes because he's native and rehomed in a Christian household because they needed to be re-educated. That was the whole excuse, that native children needed to be re-educated in Christian homes. And then the white family that already ripped him from his tribe and roots disowned him for marrying my great grandma, a black woman. So all of us have such complex histories in this country. And I tell people all the time that we're not all going to get along. I love to believe that unity can be a thing, but it isn't a thing. Because even within marginalized groups, there are biases and prejudices and things that, like, I can't claim my native heritage properly in the way I would like to. Because not only was my grandfather taken from his tribe, there's no records that I could trace back, but unless a tribe recognizes you, you could say you're native to the cows come home, you're not recognized as native. And that's why I try to explain to certain people who say online, well, I've got stories and I've got pictures, but unless a tribe says you can say you're native to the cows come home, you're not accepted by them, and you need to keep it moving. And one of the problems I have with people is that they get upset by that, like they have every right. Oh no, I don't care. Well, you should care, because their whole right to exist has been completely decimated by colonialism, completely shat on by the same people who now try to claim heritage with them, ignoring the fact that some of that heritage was done through force. And if you want to claim native heritage, but you're not donating to native causes, you're not amplifying native issues, you're not putting out there when they need help, then don't claim it, because you look fake. And a lot of you end up taking that 23andMe test and finding out that you're not as native as you think. And some of you end up finding out you're more black than you think you are. That always cracks me up. Because for every bigot out there that take a DNA test and then find out that they are a decent percentage of black or Asian or, any kind of different from what they thought they are, congratulations, you hate yourself. Self-hate is real. I think a lot of us, because of the bigotry we grew up with, ingrained a lot of self-hate. I had to unlearn a lot of anti-black stuff from actual black people. I told people in a tweet a few weeks ago, not even a few days ago it was, how I don't like that one movie. Oh God, what's the name of that movie? Because it's my mom's favorite movie. Oh, it's the one where this young white starlet befriends a black family, but the daughter's passing, and she just is awful to her mother. And so her mother dies, and then there's this big dramatic scene where she realizes that she loved her mother all the time. And it was such an anti-black movie, and a lot of people who love that movie don't see it that way, including my mother. But my mom has a lot of anti-blackness too. And yet, Imitation of Life, thank you. And Candace Owen is another, I can't with her. She is a mess. And I try not to amplify or talk about her on my Twitter no more, because she's doing a lot of antics to get attention. This is how she makes her coin. And to me, not amplifying her denies her that attention and denies her a coin, because she can't claim relevance and we're not making her relevant. But my problem with Imitation of Life and movies, yeah, Mommy Dearest is another one. You see how older parents especially think that stuff is normal. My first bully was my mom. And I think a lot of kids can say that, sadly. our first bullies were the people that should have had our back. And when you make that realization that a lot of yourself hate, why are you poking me? Stop it. You are not my bully. You cut that out. One of the things that I try to stress to people is you don't have to keep letting them hurt you. What she said about me, the thing she says about my hair, my looks, my weight, and everything else, that's just her projecting. But sadly, I'm not that little kid anymore. And when I was that little kid, her cruelty nearly cost me my life. Her cruelty is so twisted because now she acts like nothing she did has ever been wrong. I don't go on Facebook for a reason. I try to avoid it. I use it mostly to monitor what my family's doing. But actually showed me that birthday shout out she did using my pictures like we're on good terms. It's manipulation. That's how she does her thing. I don't mess with her. I won't comment. I won't respond. I know her games because I've lived through it all my life. This is how she is. She's not going to change, and I need to keep my distance. It is the best thing for all of us. And it's sad because I really thought that we were going to end up the Golden Girls. I thought she was going to end up being like a little Sophia because the women in my family tend to shrink when we get older. It just happens. And I thought it would be cutesy, but it's not because I've lived with her and I've taken her abuse way too much. And like I said, to all of you who have had parents who have been your bullies, I see you. And you are not any of the negative things they said. And I know it hurts not having their love. I broke down in front of Axiom a few times. All I've ever wanted was her to love me, but I don't need it. And as sad as it is not to have it, I have other things in my life that is just as good, if not better. And it's her loss. And that's what you got to tell yourself whenever you're feeling down about that situation is they're losing out, not the other way. Thank you, honey. And that's the thing. I love having him here because when I get like this now, it feels good to have somebody that has your back through all of this. And it is so much better for life, for your health. My mental health has been a journey, and it's going to be a journey. But I feel like it's getting a bit easier to navigate without the stress of what I was going through with her. And I think a lot of people don't understand it if they're not living it. But when you're constantly in your head and you're stressed out about things, and then you have somebody who's screaming at you in one breath and then trying to manipulate you in another breath, and just the family drama that I'm avoiding now. Who's fighting who? Who's talking shit about who? You're an ingrate. It's just such a mess. And it feels good not to be in the middle of that anymore. And I felt guilty for months after cutting them all off. Because I was raised to believe that you have to support your family no matter what. But the amount of ain't shit-itis that some of them go through, I got an ain't shit intolerance now. And if you ain't shit, get your shit together before you bother with me. Because I'm done. I'm tired of exhausting myself to appease people that don't care. Same beans. Same. I've been trying to be a lot more calmer and set not only boundaries but walk away from stressful situations. But I'm human. And if something pisses me off, if I get fired up enough about it, I'm going to talk about it. And the thing that really bothered me enough to make this Bonnet Chronicles about bigotry is just how many people keep trying to pass it off as something that we should just accept. That it's not going to go away. That it's always going to be like this. And no, it's not. Because we see generations of kids who are being open about who they are. When I was in high school, declaring yourself openly LGBT was a death sentence. And I don't say that lightly. I say that because Matthew Shepard died when I was going through what I thought I was going to go through criminal justice. I wanted to go into the criminal justice field. And I remember doing an oral report on his death, his lynching, because he was lynched. And I broke down in tears over it because it was hard to even get through my notes because the brutality of the situation just made no sense to me. And then I crossed it over with what happened to my family, being threatened because the neighbor didn't want us in his neighborhood, and literally had Molotov cocktails in his home because he was going to firebomb us out. And when I paralleled that situation, the students around me were shocked. That Harvey Milk situation where that guy had the Twinkie defense, that was literally on the books in my state. That was on the books in several states, and it was our VP that helped repeal it in California. They literally had legal precedent to say somebody with a bad diet could get away with killing somebody who was LGBT in this country. That is how serious it was back then. But I have hope because now a kid can come out as LGBTQ. They can come out as non-binary. And while they'll still have idiots who don't want to understand them and make comments, they get so much love and support now. And that's why I know it's not going to stay the same. Despite what some people say, oh, it's never going to change. It is changing. You just haven't accepted it yet. But the point blank thing, exactly. That's why I can't accept that slur either. Because it's not okay. When we allow acceptable forms of bigotry, we keep allowing bigotry to be a part of our society. When it's just a joke, we're just making fun of an awful person being awful people. How is that helpful? And I know people don't like being called out. It's not a good feeling to be called out. But when what you're doing is toxic and hateful, you need to be called out. And instead of getting like, oh, you should say that to me, I've done so much for this community or that community. Think about what you're doing now, in the moment. Because the bigoted thing you say doesn't matter if you've been marching with BLM. It doesn't care if you voted a certain way. It doesn't matter if your family members have black skin because you married into it, or you have an LGBT child. The moment you harm somebody with a bigoted thought, it nullifies any good you did, because in that moment you are being harmful. And I think some people just don't understand that. So I wanted to put it plainly, because maybe this will help you understand the issue. It's not negating the good you did, but in that moment you're not being a good person. And I tell this to my kids. So maybe if I explain this to some people who get in the defense in such a simple way, it'll start the process. Because I understand defensive. I was defensive plenty of times. Body dysmorphia, which I suffer from. And I did a lot of deflection over it. But I used to make jokes about women who were muscular and men who were super muscular, because I thought, hey, if I could deflect my own image issues onto somebody else, it's a laugh. And it wasn't until a very dear friend of mine, who I ended up putting in my book even, because I love her and I wanted her to know how much I appreciated the call out she gave me. The fact of the matter is, I was being hurtful, and she told me, Tin, as a woman who's going through transition and body dysmorphia, what you said wasn't it. And my first reaction was defensive. How dare you? I was just making a joke. I don't think what I said was bothersome or funny. I was just trying to be funny. And I realized that, Tin, you've been the punchline. You worked in the good old boys place in Florida where you had to take a joke at your own expense. It's not funny. And it's her life, and what she saw me put out there hurt her. And I had to accept that. And I had to stop being so freaking defensive about the shit I put out there because I wasn't being a good friend. And when you have that wisdom, when you reflect, I'm not saying I will never mess up again. That's why I get leery when people call me a saint or an angel or any of that stuff. No, I'm a human. I just learned from the stupid crap I do and the stupid crap I've done. And exactly, it really is, Beans. I know a lot of my defense came from the stuff I went through with my parents, but I gotta stop using that as a cover when I do something that's sensitive. Now, I will defend myself when it's something I didn't say. That's why I get leery of people who are like, I just don't want to fight when somebody lies on my name. No, there's a difference. If somebody is saying something about you that is wholeheartedly untrue and damaging to you, yeah, speak up. Don't take acceptance of that nonsense. But there's a difference between doing something that is willfully hurtful to somebody and having them say, hey, that ain't it, and being defensive. Beans, I think that's the whole thing, and I love that about how my brain processes things. I realize that it really is that simple. I am captain to keep it simple, stupid. I say it all the time, whether it's cooking, whether it's this stream. Keep it simple. That's all we have to do. And it isn't because society really teaches us from school up. I remember sitting in the IEP for kiddo during elementary school. And they were like, your kid needs to socialize more. He's a bright kid, but he's not playing with the other kids. And I said, I was the same way. And they forced me to play with other kids, and I was miserable. I said, it's okay for kids to be introverts. And the ladies around the table were shocked because they were expecting me to be like every other parent, or what can we do to force him to play with other kids and interact with other kids? And I was like, let him be an introvert. He may stay an introvert. He may grow out of it or find some in between. But stop forcing kids who get exhausted by other kids to play with kids that they're not having fun with. It is so frustrating. And it made me shut down so much as a child, putting me in situations where I had to force myself to be in social situations that were exhausting. And I did not want my son to go through that. And I was his biggest advocate. And they started working with him on that because they realized that you can't keep pushing people into these neat packages because it worked for you. And exactly, G-Film, it is so exhausting to do that, especially to an introvert, because a lot of times we just want to read or listen or enjoy. My son loves outside. He loves trees. He loves bugs. He loves nature. And kids are noisy. He knows as a kid that kids are noisy, and it's exhausting. So forcing a kid that gets overwhelmed by that much noise and busyness, to me, is harmful to them. And I refuse to put my kid through what I had to go through, through what many of us had to go through growing up, because they wanted us to be in that neat little societal package. I want to see a society where it's okay to be who we are. And if you are a person that likes to socialize but limits it, I am a very, very limited social person. I'm selective about what I do. I get more action on social media than I will outside of it, and I'm happy about that. And I think that we need to respect that about people. Exactly. It is so frustrating as a Gen Xer because we have swallowed so many different viewpoints. I really think we are the bridge, because we are the generation that came before everything went digital, before everything was live and in your face. We are the kids that were told, keep everything in the house. Don't tell anybody your business, even though your business was breaking you. We were forced to idealize the cool kids. And if we were a nerd, just accept our abuse from everybody. Even teachers got in on that. how do we survive sometimes, I think, on it. Because you didn't get any break from it at home. You didn't get any break from it at school. It was frustrating. And that's why I say to those of you who survived this, cartoons, and I still love cartoons, for real. If you survived this, if you are here today, you are stronger than you know. You are beautiful, and you deserve to be here. And I know a lot of us question that sometimes. We get in our heads whether or not we're worth it. You are. And I want you to feel this. Even if you don't feel it today, you tell yourself you are worthy to be here. And don't let anybody, bigoted or not, related to you or not, tell you your worth. You know your own worth. But I'm going to get ready to wrap this up, y'all. This has been amazing. Yeah, teachers did think bullying was natural. It was the same, the stuff that people got away with. Boys will be boys, girls will be girls. It's such bullcrap. Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, the story is about some of them predator teachers. Oh, but I do got to wrap this up. It is after 8 o'clock. I'm going to heat up my dinner. I'm going to relax. I'm going to get this uploaded to YouTube. I thank you all for this, for being a part of this. And I thank my love and my mod. He is such a mess. But I'm going to get ready to go, y'all. Do you want to do? He's about to do this song. He loves this song. And I love this song too. Truly outrageous, truly, truly, truly outrageous. I love Jim. I loved that cartoon when I was younger. But yeah. I know, and that's the thing. We're working on sound alerts, but I am going to wrap this up, y'all, at Muppet Babies. We're going to talk about all of those things on the Gen X Cynics cast, so I am really looking forward to that, but I'm going to really sign off, and I will see y'all next week.